Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight to your news at 9.
Runners from 26 different states will be participating in tomorrow's Joplin Memorial Run. I'm Zach Dodge with a look at the economic impact that can have on Joplin. Coming up.
Plus an event for Mercy healthcare workers to reflect and comfort each other one day before the Joplin tornado anniversary.
An infrastructure deal and police reform are struggling to get bipartisan support on Capitol Hill, leaving the president with an interesting choice. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. That story's coming up.
Nick Kelly has weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Tomorrow marks a date many people want to forget, not talk about, but it's important to once again honor those who are no longer with us. 161 flags now line the walking path at Cunningham Park, each representing a story, a life, a family lost during the 2011 Joplin tornado. Across Joplin, you're going to notice memorials and ceremonies honoring those lives lost. We know many of you will participate in those ceremonies, but some, of course, understandably, might grieve and remember more privately. We've offered a space for you to do so on our website. There you'll find a video that honors the victims of the 2011 tornado, also a space for you to share some memories. More than 2,000 people from all across the country will be remembering those lives lost at the Joplin Memorial Run. It's the 10th year for the run, which was started on the first anniversary of the Joplin tornado. KOAM's Zach Dodge has the financial impact the run can have on the city.
After almost a 4-hour drive to Joplin, Julie Malter is ready to help the Memorial Run go off without a hitch.
I feel like this is my way of helping.
She lives in northern Missouri, but has come to Joplin every year for the Memorial Run, not to run, but to volunteer. She says it's a way that she can help when she couldn't 10 years ago.
It fills that hole that I feel for not being able to help then.
Roughly 300 volunteers help with the race every year, with many of them coming from other parts of the country. And more than 2,000 runners will also participate.
We do have runners coming from 26 states. Over half the nation is going to be represented there.
On top of being a dedication to the lives lost, the run also serves as a fundraiser, with more than $250,000 being donated since 2012 to organizations that have helped with recovery, something that wouldn't be possible without the support from everyone involved.
You know, we know we're doing something right, and Joplin's doing something right.
And while it's hard to know exactly how much, it means tens of thousands of dollars going to area businesses in every industry.
It'll have an impact across all the levels of taxation that support the city, from tourism to gas to food to everything. So it's a positive.
Conventions and Visitors Bureau Director Patrick Tuttle says that's what they'd want to see with any event. But as everyone knows, this run is so much more than that.
I think we're going to see more people come back because they were part of the recovery. They may have been here in the first months or first year of recovery, and they're coming back to see how well Joplin has done over the last 10 years.
Yeah, they've survived for 10 years and things are getting better.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Later, we're going to hear from some runners about why they chose to participate in the marathon. Participants of the Memorial Run were able to pick up their event packets today, detailing the schedule of events tomorrow. That was one of many things organizers have already done to prepare for the run. They've already closed off 26th Street between Maiden Lane and Pitcher Avenue. City officials are recommending drivers use 20th and 32nd Streets for east-west travel.
This is a festival, the beginning of a festival. But at the same time, I've just talked to a mother whose son's name is on the banner there. Now, she's a volunteer with us, but she's right here in Packet Pickup. This is so close to her heart because she's looking at her son's name right there on that banner.
The street closing will remain in place until all memorial events are over late tomorrow night. Mercy Hospital today offered a special ceremony for its workers to mark the anniversary of the tornado. The hospital hosted a ceremony at the Mercy Park Pavilion, but wanted to keep it short so workers could mark the anniversary however they chose.
It is a little more emotional this year, just because we know this is the 10th anniversary, and if for some reason after the storm, there was always talk about, when we get to that 10th anniversary, things will be back to normal. Things aren't really back to normal, if you will. I mean, it's a new normal for us.
Mercy Hospital opted to host its ceremony today so workers could also attend the City of Joplin's events tomorrow without any scheduling conflicts. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Tomorrow is going to be an emotional day for so many of us, and I got to tell you, I know this personally, it feels good knowing that tomorrow we're not going to have any severe weather.
Yeah, maybe just a random rumble of thunder with, unfortunately, morning rain chances, Jordan, but thankfully we are not going to have a repeat of 2 years ago or 10 years ago when we had to deal with severe weather. Just light rain falling on top of Joplin right now. 73 was the warmest we could go after we started at 67 this morning. Just a quick look at the radar. Has another band of light to moderate rain coming up along I-49 approaching Joplin. That'll be around for a few hours, and I think will be dry for most areas during the overnight. And I want to hold tight for just a second here, just give everyone a good look at the morning. Light rain will develop on top of I-44 and on top of Joplin. And even as the rain increases, though, I don't see these resulting in any thunderstorms. Fortunately, these rain chances don't last long, Jordan. They'll be lifting out during the afternoon tomorrow. Highs in the lower to middle 70s. We'll take a look at the rest of the weekend and the week ahead here in a bit.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Home prices rose to a record last month, up 19% from a year ago to $341,600. It's the largest appreciation in existing home prices in data going back to 1999. The National Association of Realtors says existing home sales, though, slipped 2.7% in April from March. It's the third straight monthly decline. Even with that drop, home sales are up, though, nearly 34% from a year ago, of course, when this pandemic forced lockdowns prevented a lot of people from buying. Real estate brokerage Redfin says the hottest housing markets here in the U.S. is Indianapolis, where the typical home went under contract in 4 days. Sales rose last month in the South and Midwest, but declined in the Northeast and South. With just a week to go before the Memorial Day weekend, some major negotiations between the White House and Congress are at a critical juncture. Self-imposed deadlines to hammer out details on an infrastructure package and a police reform bill are fast approaching, but there are still a number of sticking points. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports now from D.C.
President Biden is walking a legislative tightrope this week, trying to cut deals with Republicans on infrastructure and police reform without alienating congressional Democrats. Friday afternoon, the White House announced the administration has made a counteroffer to GOP senators, shrinking its infrastructure bill from $2.25 trillion to $1.7 trillion.
In our view, this is the art, I should say, of seeking common ground. This proposal exhibits a willingness to come down in size.
Ahead of a meeting at the White House, GOP senators sounded skeptical.
Our friends across the aisle are wanting to expand the definition of infrastructure.
Efforts to reach a bipartisan deal on police reform took a hit on Friday when progressives in the House wrote a letter saying the legislation needs to eliminate qualified immunity for police officers, calling it a weapon of structural racism. The House passed its legislation in March. Senate Democrats are still negotiating.
We're all trying to work together to get this to a conclusion. There's a lot of work to do, still gulfs to bridge.
There's another battle looming in D.C. The White House is set to release its 2022 budget request on Thursday, right before the Memorial Day holiday. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another one of our four-state heroes, Bill Blattner, served in the U.S. Navy from 1941 to 45. Native of Humboldt, Kansas, Blattner was stationed in North Africa, also the South Pacific. And we are proud to thank and salute Lieutenant Bill Blattner. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, it's win or go home for Pitt State baseball in the MIAA tournament. Gonna have highlights in sports.
Leave it to Mother Nature to have the ultimate say-so on how our weekend begins around here on a day where we were anticipating temperatures playing in our favors, trying to push back into the upper 70s. She said, let's keep things mostly cloudy throughout the course of the day, not to mention bring in some more rain for parts of the area. So we had plenty of that passing through indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. At the very least, for those of you that saw plenty of rain on the Kansas-Oklahoma side for the past several days, most of the rain today has been mainly on the Missouri side, and even then, it's been very light rainfall, averaging out to at least 1/10 of an inch of rain. But once you hit the 65 corridor from Bolivar, Buffalo down to Springfield and Branson, that's where you had a good corridor of heavier rainfall set up shop for today. Right now, Kansas, Oklahoma, our corners of the states might be on the dry side, but I'm catching another complex of light to maybe a little bit of moderate rainfall working through Newton, McDonald, and Berry counties. Again, no lightning with this. It's just going to be another batch of light to moderate rain that's going to try to make a run toward Joplin and points east. And maybe a little bit of a break in the rain from our view at 7th and Range Line. Still mild at 70, southeast breeze at 12, humidity at 87%. Most of us are now sitting right around 70 degrees. Some upper 60s on the board and lower 70s, sure, but temperatures seem pretty uniform as we continue to watch additional moisture pull in from the south because of an interesting setup that we have in place. It's not because of anything at the surface. We actually have a good southeast wind with a high pressure in play, even though it's well to the east of us. This front, this next cold front, doesn't come into the equation until the middle of next week as we stick with Doug's pattern. It's the upper levels that's driving our rain chances, even though this pesky upper level low is falling apart as this goes up into the upper Midwest. This low near Houston, that is a corridor of Gulf moisture continuing to stream up here and keep some rain chances in the forecast. So we'll deal with some scattered rain to start the late night out, maybe a break during the middle of the night, but here's 6 a.m., 5 a.m. actually. Light rainfall developing along south of I-44, expanding and lifting to the north. Even as this intensifies a bit, this should be just in the form of moderate rainfall. I just don't see a good setup here that results in any of these becoming thunderstorms. So I think we can still get all the races and relays at the Memorial run through tomorrow. And fortunately, the rain chances don't last all day long. You can see how they fall apart as they work off to the north as we go through the afternoon. But still, 67 in the morning, 70 by noon, highs around 75 degrees. I think that's the best we could do given the cloud cover that's going to be a little stubborn once again. Maybe a few showers by Sunday morning, but mainly Sunday afternoon. Can't rule out a few random thunderstorms, but we should be seeing a lot more sunshine and finally temperatures back near 80 degrees. As far as additional rain, we'll keep the amounts, especially through tomorrow, mainly under ½ inch. The 7-day forecast has us near 80 for Sunday and Monday. Maybe a random storm or two, nothing to fret over. But Tuesday through Friday, sticking with Doug's pattern, that's going to start to get active again as temperatures stay warm, especially at a high of 84 on Friday, Jordan.
But again, good news that tomorrow is not a complete wash.
Absolutely, and nothing crazy expected.
No, yeah, definitely. All right, Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up, I'm going to hear from some of the people participating in tomorrow's Joplin Memorial Run about why they are running. The Joplin Memorial Run is a source of inspiration, hope, and reflection for those impacted by the May 22nd tornado. And for some, and they've been running for several years. For others, the upcoming run is their first. KOM's Chris Warner introduces us to a group of people, each with their own reason to run.
Eric and Tori Epperson have lived in Joplin for about 20 years. Growing up in Oklahoma, storm sirens and tornado warnings were nothing new. On May 22, 2011, Eric wasn't home, but Tori, along with their Siberian Husky and 4-week-old baby, were. Tori says it seemed like just another warning at first.
When the lights kind of started flickering and the sky turned kind of green, it had a different feel to it.
So you feel so helpless. Right, I'm stuck across town. It was one of the few Sunday afternoons I'd ever had to go into work. I don't know if I've been in on a Sunday afternoon since. And so you feel helpless. You feel a little guilty that you're not there.
The Eppersons say they needed a way to focus their grief and loss, so Tori began running in the Memorial Run in its first year in 2012.
It was a distraction initially, and it became a way to mark a really horrible event with something positive. And so especially I think that first one was, this has been a really hard year, and this has been a really sad year, and I lost students in it, and I know students lost their families in it, and it was just a really tragic year, and I thought, I want to honor it properly. I don't want to not be sad, but I also would like something really good to happen on this day.
10 years later, it's a tradition. The Eppersons invite their friends and family to join in, and even their daughter runs.
Our daughter, who's now 10, runs with us. She started out doing the kids 1 mile run and now does the 5K with us every year.
The Eppersons say they'll never forget that day, and the memorial run is a way for them to keep focused each spring when storm season strikes. At the time of the tornado, Arthur Huning lived in the Netherlands along with his wife Emily, who was from Carthage. The couple had just visited Joplin a few weeks before the tornado. On the morning of May 23rd, he opened his local paper and read about the tornado.
And there it all started. It was a really crazy day for us.
The time difference made it even more difficult to get in touch with relatives.
During that time you feel powerless, and with all the social media we were still unable to get information quickly.
Eventually, Arthur found out his wife's family was okay. Now the two have relocated to Joplin. Arthur has participated in a number of runs and marathons, but this is his first time in the Joplin Run, a moment he's been waiting for since 2012.
I had one goal in running, and it was not like the Boston Marathon or in New York, what people ask me a lot, but I wanted to run this race someday in my life.
Kim Hickey survived the tornado in the 15th Street Walmart. She took shelter with about 20 other people in the bathroom in the back of the store. She remembers listening to the roar of the storm as it passed through the store.
I made it through, and I was so thankful for that. And I was thankful that I had the peace of God with me during all that time.
Kim isn't just motivated to run in her first marathon because she survived the 2011 tornado. She says she's running for someone she lost in a more recent tragedy. Her fiancé passed away from COVID, and May 22nd was going to be their wedding day.
I wanted to do something on that day to actively live my life, to take a step forward and participate in what was going on in the community, and also to honor Mark's memory with that.
Kim says she'll be taking part in the 5K as a walker, and the training she's put herself through to join her fellow community members has given her life direction.
No matter what tragedy I've gone through, every new day of life is a gift, and I want to embrace that and enjoy that and live it with purpose.
4 people, each with their own reason to run. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
The Joplin Memorial Run is scheduled to begin at 6:30 tomorrow morning. Starting at 3 p.m., there's going to be music, food trucks at Cunningham Park. The program will start at 5:15 p.m. with a moment of silence at 5:41, the time the storm struck. Just ahead, reaction to a ceasefire agreement.
Thousands rally across Gaza as the rebuilding now takes effect. I'm Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv. Details coming up.
White House is taking action against tax evaders with a new plan. Under President Biden's new tax enforcement plan, the IRS would widen its payroll by almost 87,000 workers. The added manpower would bolster efforts to go after wealthy Americans and corporations that may be dodging their fair share. The Treasury Department says underreported income is the biggest contributor to the tax shortfall. Rebuilding efforts in Gaza take effect after a ceasefire deal was brokered between Israel and Hamas militants. But some people say more needs to be done to stop the violence. Fox News correspondent Mike Tobin is in Tel Aviv with this story.
Thousands of people rallying in Gaza City hours after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas militants took effect. The agreement facing its first test on Friday as Palestinian protesters clashed with Israeli police at a mosque in Jerusalem and later with troops in the West Bank. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a warning to Hamas against future attacks.
We will respond in a different power to any show of aggression against the communities surrounding Gaza or anywhere else in the state of Israel. What happened in the past will no longer take place.
For nearly 2 weeks, Israel conducted airstrikes on Hamas targets in Gaza, while more than 4,000 rockets were fired toward Israel. The violence killing more than 240 people, including 66 children. Some people say they're skeptical the ceasefire will hold.
The whole problem is about what is going to be next, and unfortunately the situation did not change much compared to what it was before.
The focus now turning toward the humanitarian toll. Across Gaza, more than 80,000 people homeless. Families returned to find buildings destroyed and furniture shattered. Dozens of health clinics and hospitals have also suffered damage. The Red Cross says reconstruction could take years.
The damage which were inflicted in less than 2 weeks will require, unfortunately, years, if not decades, to be addressed and rebuilt.
President Biden says the U.S. is now ready to work with the United Nations to provide humanitarian assistance. In Tel Aviv, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Coming up, a new study shows you might want to stop by your favorite Chinese restaurant before playing the lottery. Putting the fortune in fortune cookie. A new study shows at least 146 lottery winners across the great country. It shows numbers based on their fortune cookie, collectively winning more than $400 million ever since 2004. Open Fortune, a company that distributes the treats, says 93% of winners earned more than $100,000. Now listen up, the luckiest numbers have been 4, 14, 15, 22, 26, and 28. 14, 15, 22, 26, 28. All right, I got this. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
The family of a man involved in a Thursday train accident in Joplin is thanking Joplin's mayor for saving that man's life. Details are coming up.
Plus, after being canceled last year because of the pandemic, the Four States Farm Show is back. Family of a man who was injured in a Thursday train accident is thanking the mayor of Joplin for saving that man's life. KOM's Mike Mahoney spoke to Joplin Mayor Ryan Stanley to learn what happened.
A man involved in a Thursday morning Joplin train accident is lucky to be alive, thanks to the quick thinking of Joplin Mayor Ryan Stanley. Mayor Stanley was on his way to a meeting at City Hall when he encountered a man underneath a stopped train at Murphy Boulevard. As the train cleared out of the way, the mayor noticed that the man's left arm had been severed and quickly jumped into action.
I immediately took off my necktie, wrapped it around, tied it off, wrapped it around, tied it off, wrapped around, tied it off.
The mayor and other witnesses then comforted the victim as they waited for first responders to arrive. The victim's brother tells KOAM the man had gotten under the train because he lost his cell phone and made a grave error in judgment when trying to retrieve it. The brother declined to do an on-air interview because he's offended by some online comments making light of the situation and wants to remind people that we all make big mistakes and that his brother could use some support during one of the lowest points in his life. Mayor Stanley agrees.
We have two choices. We can react with compassion, or we can react with judgment. And I would always say that reacting with compassion is always the right choice.
In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
The brother of the man who lost his arm in the train accident says the survivor does not have health insurance. The family has set up a GoFundMe page. You can find a link to it in this article on KOAMNewsNow.com. Anyone looking to adopt a wild horse or burro can head over to Girard, Kansas. The Bureau of Land Management is hosting an adoption event featuring 80 wild horses and burros. The event started today, continues tomorrow from 8 in the morning to noon. The Bureau is offering $1,000 to adopt any of the untrained animals.
Again, we're just too full out west. We have too many roaming out west. We have too many in our government corrals. So every animal that we adopt out, it's less on the government tax dollars. So the American citizen who pays taxes for these animals and those folks that are adopting them also get to adopt these animals, take them home, gentle them, and train them.
The Bureau of Land Management periodically removes excess animals from public lands to control population growth. Those animals then get put up for adoption at events like this. Four States Farm Show back in action in Pittsburgh. After being canceled last year because of the pandemic, the show is underway at Pitt State's Plaster Center. The event is free to attend, and around 800 vendors are participating this year. One attendee we spoke with says he's never missed a show.
We got repeat customers. We give good service, try to take care of them, and they come back to us. I've got bins in all 4 states.
Farm Show will continue throughout the weekend. Tomorrow it's open from 8 in the morning to 4 p.m. and Sunday from 8 in the morning to 3 p.m. Some of the residents over at Pitt State's Nature Reach got some home renovations done today. Those residents being raptors or birds of prey. Evergy's Green Team headed out to the reserve to renovate the raptor cages, including replacing lumber, fortifying the roof, and replacing netting with wire. A bit later, going to take a closer look at Cunningham Park in Joplin, how it serves as a reminder of the lives lost and tragedy overcome from the Joplin tornado.
14.
Stubborn cloud cover, rain chances, that's been pretty much our theme for the rest, or for this past week rather, and that certainly applied for today as we look at the time-lapse from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. Rain at times during the day, but the bulk of the rain overall has been mainly to the east of 49, but still clipping parts of southwestern Missouri today, while a good portion of the day on the Kansas and Oklahoma side were mainly dry, and that's reflected on the radar estimated rain amounts that we've seen since midnight to start this day out. Again, better rain amounts on the Missouri side, but even then relatively light, only on the average about 1/10 of an inch of rain. Not seeing any rain on the radar for much of southeast Kansas, but as you go into the Joplin area, including a couple showers trying to develop again south of Grand Lake, we have maybe a little light shower skirting between Galena and Joplin, some light to moderate rain from I-44 south north of Neosho, and then around Monette and Pierce City. That's a complex of rain that'll rotate on through, but more rain chances are on the way as we go through the overnight and tomorrow. But at least for the time being, Joplin looks dry from 7th and Range line, 70 degrees with the southeast wind to 12. Most of us right around 70 degrees, a couple upper 60s and some lower 70s on the board, but everyone's mild no matter what your number says on the thermometer as we continue to track some showers trying to hold together as they work in from south to north. But notice how the moisture plume keeps coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, not because of anything at the surface. We have just a southeast wind at the surface with a high pressure well to the east. This next cold front, that doesn't come into play until the middle of next week. It's what's upstairs that was driving our weather setup, especially this stubborn upper level low, the counterclockwise flow, allowing that moisture to keep coming at us, even though the upper level ridge to the east is trying to eat away at the rain chances. It does to start the overnight. However, here's 5 a.m. Scattered rain, light rain developing along and south of I-44. It expands in coverage and tries to go to light to moderate rain during the morning hours on your Saturday before we see things lift to the north throughout the afternoon. So that means for the Joplin Memorial Run, I don't anticipate any thunderstorms, but definitely plan on rain around the city of Joplin. 67 to 6 a.m., maybe dropping to 66 by 9, but we should be working back near 70 by lunchtime. Then for the afternoon, the focus is on rain chances dropping off, especially as they lift to the north and west. And with some peaks of the sun, we'll try to go from 70 at noon to afternoon highs around 75. So for tomorrow alone, maybe another ½ an inch of rain, maybe a couple storms on Monday and Sunday too, but sticking with Doug's pattern, these upper level lows will push that next cold front our way. That means thunderstorm chances to keep an eye on for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even going into Friday. Those 4 days do have the potential of bringing some strong, possibly severe storms as we again stick with Doug's pattern. But fortunately, no severe weather in the cards for tomorrow. 75 on Saturday, even with a few random storms on Sunday and Monday, Jordan, we're looking generally okay this weekend.
All right, so we'll worry about next week when next week comes.
Absolutely.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Don't forget, you can be the first to know about today's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone, free of charge. It's available on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store as well. All you have to do is search for KOAM Skywatch weather app. Coming up in sports, the former Southeast standout claiming her 10th Big 12 championship for Iowa State. Plus, Pitt State baseball aiming to stay alive in the MIAA conference tournament. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more next.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas are still alive in the MIAA baseball conference tournament. The Gorillas dropped their semifinal matchup to Central Missouri last night 9-5. Tonight they're right back on the field for an elimination game against Rogers State. Hillcats hit the ball early. Prescott Horn lifts it up and out for the solo shot. Next batter, Brandon Bradshaw makes it back-to-back jacks. Rogers State goes up 4-0. They were up 6-2 until the 8th. Garrett McGowan drills one out for Pitt State to make it 6-3. The Gorillas get back-to-back jacks of their own. Dawson Pomeroy follows it up with a solo shot. Still in the 8th, 2nd and 3rd for Cruz Aranda. Drives it deep to left, off the fence. That scores 2. We're all tied up at 6. Then Aranda, big-time heads-up play moments later. He's on 2nd on the grounder. After the bobble, nobody paying attention. Aranda rounds 3rd and scores. Gorillas get their first lead, and they hold on to it. PSU rallies from a 6-2 deficit to win it 7-6. So after that, they got to turn right around and face Central Oklahoma in another elimination game. That one's still going in the top of the 8th. Gorillas lead it 2-1. Ryan Koval is 2 for 3 with an RBI. The Crowder College Rough Riders begin South Central District play today with a pair of games in Owasso, Oklahoma. 2 big wins here. Crowder beats Delgado 12-2. Then 9th-ranked Eastern Oklahoma 8-2. They'll be back on the field tomorrow afternoon. Pittsburgh High School hosts 5A Regional Track and Field Championships today. Now, there are 8 teams in town this afternoon aiming to move on to state. It was a good day today for Pittsburgh's Alacia Harris, racing in the 100-meter hurdles here. Harris coming down the stretch. She earns 3rd place, qualifies for state with a time of 16:60. In the field events, Harris in the triple jump. This one here, her best of the day, 35 feet, 11 inches. That's 3 inches away from a new personal best. However, it's good for 2nd place and her 2nd state qualifying mark of the day.
I knew coming in that we were going to have some tough competition, so performing and getting 2nd was a really big accomplishment, and I'm just excited to jump farther for state.
She's worked hard this season, and it's starting to pay off for her. I do think she has a lot more to give. Whatever she wants to do, she's capable of, and so if she can get that mindset down and go out there and compete, good things are going to happen.
Former Girard High School standout Kaylee Logue continues to dominate for Iowa State track and cross country. Last weekend, she swept the 5K and 10K races at the Big 12 Outdoor Championships, giving her 10 conference titles between track and cross country. Now, she's won a lot, obviously, but Logue has her eyes on a bigger goal this outdoor season.
I've never made it to a national championship outdoor and track and field, so that'll be my goal this next upcoming week at regionals. That's something I would like to do, is be at a national championship in outdoor track and field and kind of put myself in position to hopefully be an All-American if I can qualify to that.
You can check out our full story with Logue on the sports page at KOAMNewsNow.com. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
As people look to pay tribute to the lives lost ahead of the anniversary of the Joplin tornado, they reflect on the strength of the community to push forward. For this week's 4-state staycation, KOM photojournalist Liam Mandelbaum takes us to a park at the epicenter of the tornado. One telling a story, equal parts tragedy and triumph.
It's Cunningham Park. This was one of our ground zero locations 10 years ago. And this was the main spot for the impact of the EF5 tornado on May 22nd, 2011. Well, Cunningham Park has always been a focal point. It's over a century-old city park, and it's been one of those gathering places. The tall oak trees and the bandstand were very iconic for the city at that time. And the fact we lost it all, I mean, we lost even every blade of grass was gone out of this park 10 years ago. So what the Park Service has done to bring this back to life, and a lot of donations, a lot of sweat equity from a lot of people, it's a beautiful landmark for the city. We put a few things in the ground that are great pieces to tell the story. And the pencil sketch houses that are behind me are resemblant of the 3 houses that were physically there before the tornado happened. But they also house the butterfly garden. And then also here in the park is the names, the bronze plaque with 161 names on it. The time capsules are in there, and the fountain for us to remember the days of that event. So Cunningham Park really is where the story is told at. So that's very much a tribute to the survivors of the tornado. And I got to say, really the resilience of the people that we have, the families that bounce back, that put their boots up, got their houses cleaned up, rebuild, and are still here in this neighborhood. Just shows how strong the city is.
Cunningham Park can be found at 26th and Maiden Lane. Preview of this summer's Fox Summer TV lineup when we come back. Get ready to mark the calendar for big Fox TV tune-ins this summer with a lot of fun programming on the way. Here's a preview. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
New series kick off, fan favorites return. It's a busy summer coming up on Fox.
Do you know what's ahead of you?
May 25th is the season 2 premiere of the Rob Lowe hosted game show Mental Samurai. May 26th is the Masked Singer season 5 finale, followed by the intro of Crime Scene Kitchen and its combo of mystery and baking with host Joel McHale.
I couldn't believe it, some of the stuff that I saw and ate. And I ate all of it.
May 31st, Hell's Kitchen Young Guns starts with contestants 23 years old or younger.
Wild, frivolous, dynamic, insecure, demanding, delicate, but boy, could they cook.
Group is in session on Housebroken with famous voices and pet people Lisa Kudrow and Clea Duvall.
I grew up with 6 cats, always had a cat and dog and a chicken at one point. But right now I just have one small, perfect dog.
And the animated fun of Duncanville Season 2 rounds out the night.
The builds are bigger.
June 1st, Lego Masters Season 2 takes the competition to the next level.
We had 5 million pieces on set this year for them to choose from.
June 2nd, MasterChef culinary legends join the judges.
To come be part of the best cooking competition anywhere in the world and then add their journey and their culinary experiences.
June 3rd, Jamie and Corinne Fox lead Season 4 of Beat Shazam.
This season we have a $2 million episode. Each contestant can go home a millionaire, which is crazy.
Brick House. August brings the reboot of Fantasy Island, and it all leads to a busy fall with 2 new dramas, more Masked Singer, and a new singing competition. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Young, insecure, and I'm going to tear them apart. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of an otter at the Oregon Zoo enjoying some snacks. Hey, have a great, safe weekend, a meaningful weekend for many of us. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.